Hi, please welcome to the part 13 of AZ304 important exam questions. I would request you to subscribe to my channel. That will help you stay tuned to more informative videos. Please remember this channel is dedicated to help you clear the cloud certification exams. For questions 1 to 81, please refer parts 1 to 12 of this video series. Now let's jump into the questions. In this question, I've already marked the keywords. The first thing you have to do is understand the story. The story goes this way. You have uh, an AK cluster where microservices reside, and then you have your apps, which is accessing these microservices. These apps are on Azure VM. Okay, this everything is in a virtual network. So let's see the important key lines here. So what they are saying is the solution should meet ingress access to the microservices from a single private IP address. So if you see this documentation, you have your client. Suppose you are typing some website name, then there is a load balancer in between, and then here you have the front end, the back end services, and the database. Okay, so this is what we are interested in. So the ingress that here this should happen should through one private IP, and the incoming calls must be rate limited. So these incoming calls, there should be rate limited. For example, say only 5 calls per second, even though it is coming through a single IP, but only 5 calls per second or 10 calls per second. So in this case, what I would suggest is, this is, first of all, this is a question of API management, that's for sure, because you have microservices and this is a question of API management. That's simple. The diagram that I showed you was also for API management. Now the question is, which one, the premium tier or standard tier? So we are interested in everything is in a virtual network. Okay, and if you see, you need to provide protection by using TLS authentication. So we should go with the premium tier for virtual network connection, because standard tier doesn't support virtual network connection. Premium tier supports virtual network connection. So B would be my answer, but let's also understand this A, why A will not work. See, A gateway is a load balancer, and WAF will help you. uh, so it helps your requests, so your web applications, from common exploits and vulnerabilities. Okay, for example, SQL injection, cross-site scripting, these common attacks, it will help you block this. So our question is not linked with any such requirement, so A is wrong. Let's see D. D is the same thing. Front door is a global load balancer. Suppose you want your applications to be load balanced across different regions, then we use front door. And WAF is either, just like I explained you now, WAF has a different purpose. Okay, here we do not have any use case which says you want to make it secured, over secured, and you have to avoid SQL injection. You cannot see a word SQL injection in the exam. You will see this word SQL injection if WAF is the answer. Okay, now let us look at premium tier and standard tier. See, in this documentation you will see API management tiers. Okay, different tiers. And here if you see, we have consumption, developer, basic, standard, and premium. These are the different tiers. So for virtual network support, VNet support, that is what we need for our question. So if you see here, only developer or premium supports. So we do not have an option for developer. See here, we cannot see developer, we only have standard and premium. So standard, we saw it's not supports, it doesn't support virtual network. Only premium tier supports. That is our answer. So we will go with this option B as our answer. Now let's have a look at this question. So this is important. The keyword here is assign Azure policy definitions. At which level we have to assign the Azure policy definitions, and we have to select 3 answers. So Azure policy definitions, If you see this, it can be assigned at any level, policy definition. We are not talking about defining at which level, we are talking about assigning a definition at which level. It can be assigned at any of these levels. So let's look at the options. So management group is yes, because it can be assigned there. Subscription is yes, it can be assigned there. So see here, you can assign it all of these three levels. Now the policy definition assignments is not done at tenant level. Okay, there is a uh, uh, parent management group where the definition is done, but we never assign policies at that level. So this is wrong. Administrative unit is just a container where active directory objects are holded. We never do any assignments at that level. There is no feature to assign at that level. And compute resources, for example VM, any compute resource, uh, you can assign it at individual resource level, any resource, but compute resource is also a resource. But in this case, these three options are better than resource, because resources are lowest in the hierarchy. So this is our final answer. Now let's see this question. See, the story for this question goes this way. You have 5 virtual machines and the app one is on 5 virtual machines deployed there. Now you have to ensure that virtual machines can authenticate to AD, uh, to gain access to Key Vault apps and etc. So this, whenever you want to do this, you can do this through managed identity, because it authenticates it once, and then using that managed identity you can gain access to different resources, because managed identities, like, always remember, managed identities developers use it primarily, and it is better for them from a management of secrets and credentials, and that is used to communicate between different Azure components to make up a solution. Now take an example. An application may use managed identity to access Key Vault. So this is one point important. You can use managed identities to authenticate to any resource that supports Azure AD authentication, including your own applications. So that is what we require in our question. We have virtual machines as a resources, and it is saying that you can authenticate through AD. So that is where managed identity is useful. See, post deployment of virtual machines, when you deploy new virtual machines, these additional virtual machines, you want to avoid assigning new roles and permissions, and then you have to avoid storing secrets and certificates on virtual machines, because you are using Key Vault for that. All certificates and secrets will be kept on Key Vault, and from there you can access. So since you don't want to store this in virtual machines, you want to store this in Key Vault, and you want to authenticate through AD to gain access to the Key Vault. That's why managed identity is the solution, and you want to minimize administrative effort for managing the identities. Okay, so service principal is not a solution for this, so options A and C are wrong. Okay, now let us try to understand between B and C which one is correct. What is a system assigned managed identity? See, what happens here is system assigned managed identity. So there are two types. One is system assigned and one is user assigned. You know that the app currently resides on these 5 VMs, but there is a scope for adding additional VMs. So whenever you have such requirement where additional resources will be added, then the answer has to be user defined managed identities, not system managed identities. Why? I'll explain you. So if you are having a system managed identity, so it is a identity that is created for, say, these 5 resources. Then if you want to add one more resource, you cannot do it, or if you delete the resource, the system managed identity will also delete. Suppose the system managed identity was associated with these 5 VMs, you delete these resources, these 5 VMs, the system managed identity will also get deleted. Then what if you want to add one more VM in future? Then you don't have that system managed identity. That's why you use user managed identity, because user managed identity is not tied to the life cycle of these resources. Even if you delete one or two VMs, nothing will happen, because this user defined managed identity will still stay. If you want to add new VMs, no problem. You can use the same user defined managed identity to for those VMs also. So user assigned managed identity is the right answer in this case. So we will lock this answer and move forward. So let's see this question. So you have an on-premises and you have Azure, and you have Active Directory on premises and you have Active Directory on Azure, that is Azure AD. So to access resources on-prem, you use this user ID. To access resources on Azure, you use this user ID. There are two different user IDs. The question says different accounts are used. Okay, so different accounts. Now what they want is you should sign in using a single account. You should not have two accounts. So currently you have two accounts. In future you should have one account, and you should access on-prem resources as well as Azure resources using the same account. So the question says, if you want to do a synchronized identity, which option would suffice? For synchronized identity, you have to put AD Connect. That will help you synchronize both the ways. From on-prem, whatever users are there, it will go in Azure, and in Azure AD, whatever users are there, it will go on-prem. It is synchronized. So let's scan through the options. User management occurs on premises, and Azure AD authenticates employees by using on-premises passwords. So user management, all users are here, which is right. All users are here. The user management is done from on-prem. Okay. So I take back my previous statement, like bidirectional flip. So the user management is done here. Azure AD does the authentication. So whenever people access some resources and in suppose a VM, and they put in their user ID and password, it goes to Azure AD and they get authenticated. So first option is correct, but let's scan through other two options. User management occurs on premises. The on premises domain controller authenticates employee credentials. That means user management, both user management and authentication is done on the AD domain on-prem. So this happens in federation. This doesn't happen in synchronization. In synchronization, whatever is here, it should be here, so that you can authenticate via here. That is what is important. So this option is for federated identity. Okay, in federated identity, you have this where both user management and authentication is done by on-prem domain controller. Now this one says both user management and authentication occurs in Azure AD. That never occurs. It is, I mean, it neither happens in synchronization, neither in federation. So this option is wrong. So these are our two answers. So let's look at this question. I have marked the keywords. So it is very simple here. This question is very simple. You see a big question and you get nervous. So just look for keyword. I'm looking for this keyword, monthly email message that list access permissions. Simple. This is the use case for one and only access review. Simple. Do not even bother to see other options. This is simple access review, because only in access review out of these options you get this opportunity to send email alerts on a monthly basis and review the access. Whoever you want to send this alert and whoever is responsible for reviewing it, you can do that. So privilege identity management is, you want to create some privilege identity first. You want to, so suppose take this example, this option D. I'm giving an example for that. Suppose you have Ram and Sham. There are two administrators, or sorry, suppose Ram is an administrator and Sham is a developer. Now what happens is Ram is going on 2 days uh, vacation. He's going somewhere very remote, will not have internet connection. So temporarily, Sham says, I whatever basic things you do, I know that I will not be able to do big things on administration, but I can manage this some stuff. So the management decides give Sham access to be an admin for 2 days. So we will create a privileged, we'll use privileged identity management for this purpose. See, option A, this one will only give you user to role assignment. It will not it will not give you an error email message to review. So that is wrong. Similarly, option B, this will only give you the role assignments. You do not care. I mean, when you're getting the role assignments, what will you do with it? You want to review, you want an email message, you want to review, and in the review, if the manager does not verify access permission, automatically revoke the permission. This happens only in access review, and you want to minimize your development effort. So if you go via the automation runbook, you will create so many scripts, get, put, blah blah blah. So that will maximize your development effort. You want to minimize the development effort. Only option C can do. That's why I'm saying the moment you see this keyword monthly email message, verify, automatically revoke, straight away go to access review. Do not think twice. So this is our final answer. Let's move forward. So you have this question. Please read it carefully. First, understand the story. You have an app, and this app is residing on a VM. Obviously, you will create an app on a VM. Okay. Now, there should be access allowed to key vault so that it can take the keys out. Maybe these are encryption keys. Maybe there are certificates in key vault that it has to refer to. Similarly for SQL database and Cosmos DB. Okay. Now the question is asking which authorization method you should recommend. So authorization method. So there are two things in the exam. Sometimes you get the same question, but there is a slight change. It says which authentication method you should recommend. So we will see that in the next question. But just telling you, this can come in two ways: which authorization method or which authentication method. The answers are different for both authorization and authentication. Please note, again I'm repeating, the answers are different for authorization and different for authentication. Let's see, for authorization what should we do. What is the difference between authorization and authentication? That is important to understand. See, authorization is like, okay, I'll give you an example. Suppose you have an application. Okay, take this application, for example, uh, Tableau. Tableau is a BI application, and this is integrated with uh, Active Directory. So if anybody who logs in into Tableau, they enter their username and password. So when you enter your username and password, this goes to Active Directory, and Active Directory tells you, it validates and tells, okay, this is a valid user and the password is also valid. This step is called authentication. It authenticates whether the user is valid and the credential is valid or not. This is authentication. What is authorization? After this, after Active Directory says, boss, you are good to go, you see the Tableau server screen. Now there, if you can do administrator jobs there, whether you have admin rights or you have developer rights or you have just a simple user rights. So simple user in Tableau can only run reports. Developers can create Tableau dashboards. Administrators can manage these servers. They can create user profiles. They can manage it. So what access you have there, that is authorization. That is authorization. Authorization in Azure is RBAC, role-based access. So simple thing I'll tell you, Azure Key Vault authorization is done by RBAC. There is no logic to it. Okay, this is something which the product itself supports. So Key Vault is RBAC, Azure SQL is RBAC, but Cosmos DB, it's a NoSQL database. Cosmos DB supports HMAC for authorization. So if you see this documentation, it clearly says Azure Cosmos DB uses HMAC for authorization. If you have time, you can read this paragraph. It will tell you how HMAC does the authorization. So this is our final answer. Let's move forward. Now here we want to know the same question, but what is the authentication method? Now if you want to understand the authentication method, authentication is done at Active Directory level. It will authenticate and tell uh, these credentials are correct or not. So when you have to do this authentication, what it's saying is the application will use managed identity. It is already telling you this is a keyword. Okay, if here it has a managed identity, then simple, you will be using a managed identity all three places, because the application does not need to prompt for the password when it accesses the key vault, prompt for the credentials again when it accesses the SQL database, prompt for the credential again when it accesses Cosmos DB. So this should be seamless. That's why managed identity is, and the question itself is, and the options, we will also have to use this managed identity to achieve this authentication. See, managed identity is primarily used for developers. Like I told, whenever you see managed identity, so you have to remember. So since this is primarily used for developers, you can use secrets and credentials in the key vault, and it will not be prompted again and again. Primarily, developers make use of it. They have given an example of how an application can use managed identity to access resources like key vault. So managed identity is the answer for all three. So let's look at this question. So first we need to understand the story here. So here you have a remote user, okay, and your app was on-prem, but now your app is on VM in Azure VM. Whatever is blue is Azure. So your app is on VM, and remote users will access this app via point-to-site VPN connection. But there is one thing that will happen on-prem, that is certificate generation. So that is the story. So the question is saying you need to recommend which certificates are required for the deployment. So let's see this one. So trusted root certification authority certificate store on each laptop. Now if we want to answer the questions, so if you see this for trusted, so let me first answer this one, the user's personal store on each laptop. Okay, so I'm showing you a documentation here, which is a local machine and current user certificate stores. So here if you see this current user certificate store, this type of certificate store is local to a user account on the computer, and this certificate store is located in the registry under this, under H current root. So in this case, so the answer here would be a user certificate that has private key, because user's personal store should be private, not public. Okay, that's why we will use a user certificate with a private key. That is what we need. Now for trusted root certification authorities, this one. So you will use a trusted root certification store with a set of public CAs. And why you don't use private CA? Because private CA is unlikely to be trusted outside the network environment. So in this case, this one, the answer would be root CS certificate that has public key only. Now for VPN gateway, this screenshot is wrong. This VPN gateway answer is wrong. The answer has to be root public CA certificate for public key only. So these are the answers except for last one. The answer would be same as this. Let's look at this question. So the story goes this way. See, you have AD tenant and they have multiple users. All these users have different sort of access to file share. So there are files kept in this file share, for example. Okay. Now, some users, like say this user one, he will have only read access to the file. He can read the file. Suppose there is an Excel file there. He can only read the Excel file. He cannot make any modifications to the Excel file. But these two users, they have read and write both. So these two users can read as well as update the Excel sheet on the file share. Now for this planned deployment, you need to recommend what additional Azure services must be used. So you already know there is a Azure file share, there is Azure AD. You already know this. Okay. Now you want to add one more service. Which is that service? See, front door instance, option D. This, the one marked in green, option D. It is a traffic routing system, front door. Okay. Sort of a load balancer. So it supports layer 7 using any cast protocol. So front door provides range of traffic routing methods. So we don't need a traffic router here. Why do we need traffic routing? This is a different question. So it does not fit to the use case we have. So D is wrong. Azure information protection, it is used to protect your documents. So for example, it's a cloud based solution and it will help you label and classify the documents. So for example, you have a blob storage and there are a lot of documents there. Now you can quickly scan and classify using information protection which document has some security related information, secured information, like a PII, personal information, like a credit card number. So it will classify and mark that these documents have credit card numbers, so they should be protected, something of that sort. There is no need because the use case doesn't say it needs to protect. The use case says it needs to provide uh, different access to different users. This leaves us with these two options. Both are related to AD. So now option A, what it states is AD enterprise application. The reason for using AD enterprise application is if you have a third party application and you want to use that, then you use enterprise application so that you can see them, the admins can see them. Here there is no requirement of any such type, so A is also wrong. So this one, domain services, it provides managed domain services such as domain join, group policy, LDAP, Kerberos, NTLM authentication, etc. And this line is important. See, if you are a cloud only environment, and that is the question, from the question that is what we can get, we are on a cloud only environment. Why? Because the question says nothing about on-prem. Here they are talking about Azure AD tenant and Azure storage, so there is nothing on-prem here. Hence we do not need on-prem ADDS. So normally if we have a on-prem as well as cloud, so the domain service is on-prem. If you don't have on-prem and you only have cloud only environments, then you should have Azure AD domain service. So this is the right answer. So let's look at this question. So the story here is saying that you have web app in three regions. Suppose you have a web app in Singapore and Mumbai, okay, and in US East Coast. There are three regions and you have web apps there. And you need to implement Azure Key Vault. Key Vault, why we are using is because Key Vault stores secrets and certificates. So if you want some sort of encryption using those secrets or certificates, you can do that. So for that purpose, you have to implement a key vault as your resource, and it has to meet the following requirements. Like if one region, there is a regional outage. For example, if Mumbai, there is a regional outage, Mumbai is gone now. I mean the data center in Mumbai where this was getting hosted is gone. Okay, so all keys must still be readable. That means you cannot put Azure Key Vault only in Mumbai, right? The other stuff is all the web apps in the subscription must be able to access the key vault, whether the web app is in uh, US East Coast, Singapore, or Mumbai. They should still be able to access the key vault. And the number of key vault resources to be deployed and managed must be minimized. So one straightforward option would be uh, use one key vault in each region, but that will not serve the purpose. That is not required here, because it is saying you have to minimize it. If I want to minimize it, the first thing we'll do it is we'll try, can we manage with one Azure Key Vault? Because minimize means out of these options A, B, C, D, which is less. It is talking minimize, not maximize. Hence, let's see if one fits in Key Vault. So one cool thing about Key Vault is the contents of your Key Vault are replicated within the region and to a secondary region which is 150 miles away, but in the same geography. For example, I'll tell you, if you are in US East Coast, okay, so it will replicate within the region. So within the region means in a region, usually there are three data centers which are availability zones. In those AZs, it will replicate the key vault. You just have one key vault, it will replicate it there. Now, the other thing it will do is it will take a secondary region, something which is 150 miles away uh, in US East Coast, and it will replicate it there as well. So that is called specific region pairs. This is an exception. The exception to the paired region model is single region geo. For example, these are all single region. There is no pair region. Okay. And what does the pair region do? You read this text in the event, in the rare event that the Azure region is unavailable, the requests that you make to Azure Key Vault in that region are automatically routed to a secondary region. Okay. So this is how it will work. See, this is your Key Vault in US East Coast. You just have one instance of Key Vault. Okay. This is replicated across in multiple AZs. It is replicated within the same region, and it is also replicated 150 miles away in the secondary region. And all of these locations, Mumbai and Singapore, these web apps, all are using this key vault, one key vault. So this key vault is being used by all three regions, the web apps in all three regions, and now there is a regional outage. So this is gone. Even if this is gone, so if there is a regional outage, suppose if this was on a data center, if one AC is gone, it will be still be there on a different AC. But if this region is gone, then all three are gone. But this data is still available in the secondary region, and everybody, all these three web apps, irrespective of the region, will be pointed to the secondary region. Okay, this is the pair region. Hence, one instance of key vault should suffice, because the question says it has to be minimized. Okay. So please subscribe to my channel, and if you have any uh, constructive comments, please drop in your comments. This brings us to the end of part 13 of this video series. See you in the next part.